Hi, this is Jay Billis of ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
Back with you, the ML Sports Platter, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. That stuff goes an awfully long way. We're also available on the Podbean app, Stitcher, YouTube, and Tumblr. And we are brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College. And speaking of which, let's bring in our weekly guest, the head men's basketball coach for the Bobcats in Central New York. It's Danny Frisina. Danny, welcome back.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Let's get into the crunch time, man. And we're getting close to the end here.
Yeah, so graduation's on the 20th of April. So we're about 2 weeks out. Some of my guys actually, they take their academics this semester pretty seriously, and for some of their classes, they're already done. So they jumped ahead and real happy about that. And, they're excited they get this kind of quasi spring break now that they're done with that class. And some other guys, this is, like you said, crunch time. They have to buckle down these last couple weeks and finish out strong.
Danny, there's been a lot going on lately at Bryant and Stratton, too, ending things. I've actually, as we record this on a Friday, April 5th, I've got David Bove coming on next week. I'm pumped for that. We had a conversation this week. He's super excited. He's been appointed the new Bryant and Stratton College Director of Soccer Operations and a coach. And this guy brings a lot to the table in terms of his coaching experience. He's been around the community college scene. He's been around high school sports. He's developed kids. What's your initial thought here of David?
Yeah, I think it's a great addition to the school. Since I've been on, we've expanded quite a bit now. He's going to bring, vast experience when it comes to soccer, obviously. I've only just been introduced to him here recently, so I don't know too much about him, personally or professionally yet. Looking forward, when I was introduced to him, super nice guy. Looking forward to kind of working with him here coming up in the future. But, yeah, just another solid addition to our athletic department. He'll be, as far as I understand, kind of like leading the charge with our JV men's and women's program. So, I'm confident that, with his experience, he'll be able to take that to the next level and really start, on the ground running with that program. And then, he's got a great relationship with both Nick and Alex, who, have built our men's and women's programs to championship levels. So I'm sure that, with the tight relationship that he has with them, that, something similar can start with our JV program and, feed into our varsity programs as well.
Danny, if somebody is looking at Bryant and Stratton College, for athletics and academics or just academics, and it wasn't basketball, but they came up to you and said, hey, I know you're the head basketball coach, for the Syracuse division. What can you tell me about the school? What do you tell them first?
Yeah, I ask them kind of what their academic interests are. I like to know what kind of student they are, as far as some kids like that big school atmosphere, whereas some others they like the private one-on-one smaller classrooms. They're not, they're still kind of shy about leaving home and whatnot. Those are our kind of students, where if you need that extra attention or you like the smaller, more intimate classrooms, Bryant Stratton offers that in spades.
Mm-hmm.
And we make sure that our students are on task and are getting that one-on-one attention. So that's one thing academically. Athletically, it's do you want to compete, and do you want to compete for championships, and are you looking to get to the next level? A lot of our guys on the soccer side can speak of, just because their program's been around the longest, have gone on and played professionally overseas. We had one guy who was one of the highest paid players in the Major League Soccer here in America. And so the opportunity to compete at a high level, both academically and athletically, is right here at Bryant and Stratton. And it takes a real special kind of athlete to embrace the challenges here at Bryant and Stratton. So that you're trying to pinpoint those kids, and we'll take anybody that's interested. We want to bring them under our wing and bring them into the program. and then try to develop them into that student athlete.
Danny Frisina with us, head men's basketball coach of the Bobcats, Bryant and Stratton College, Syracuse, and of course, Bryant and Stratton, the official title sponsor in college of the ML Sports Platter. Love working with the school and everybody from A to Z. Danny, I always, before we close out, we always talk a little hoops outside of Bryant and Stratton College, and I want to start with the Final Four. I mean, this Final Four to me is really, really great. It's wild. It's got storylines galore. Virginia's the number one story, in my opinion. Tom Izzo going for title number 2. Texas Tech is sort of like the junkyard dog with the great defense, but they're underrated offensively. And then you've got Bruce Pearl and Auburn, who beat 3 Blue Bloods to get here. What do you make of these games as we record this tomorrow night, and who do you have winning it all on Monday?
I think, it's funny that you say that Tom Izzo is going for number 2 because it always seems like he's in it. It seems like he should be going for number 4 at this point, or number 5. He always seems to be kind of in the mix. I like Michigan State and Virginia to play in the final, and from there it's tough to say. Now I say that, but I also want to say that I hadn't picked Texas Tech really to win any of these games so far, and they've kind of snuck their way in there. But maybe it was just me not paying attention enough to Big 12 ball, but just watching them in this tournament, they're not somebody to sleep on. They're a serious squad, and Coach Beard does a great job down there. He's got them in a position where defense reigns supreme, and it'll be a very fun matchup to watch them against Michigan State and the point guard that they have there.
Cassius Winston is insane. I think he's actually the most important player to his team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, between in this Final Four, you look at him and you look at Kyle Guy and kind of the engine that runs the show there. But yeah, I think I said before the tournament, I don't know if I said it on this podcast or not, but I believe that coming off of last year's huge disappointment for Virginia, I think they were kind of a little bit on a mission here, and even in this tournament, they haven't won pretty. They got down by double digits in that first game against another 16 seed, and people were starting to kind of roll their eyes and say not again. But I think this was, I think this is the year that they kind of, pull it off. So, last year was tough for them, and so it'll be interesting. But again, Auburn, they're a good team, and Bruce Pearl, like you said, Kentucky, Kansas, North Carolina, that's nothing to sniff at. So it'll be an awesome Final Four. I think before the tournament, you didn't have many teams outside of Auburn or Texas Tech fans that had them in there, so they're not sexy picks. But this is going to be a really good Final Four.
What is your take? You're a basketball coach.
Yeah.
When Tom Izzo goes bananas like he does with these players, he gets in their grill. He's probably spitting on them on accident. He's not intentionally hawking up something and cuffing a hawker at these guys. But you get the point. He goes ape. You know what on the baseline. What is your? I mean, look. I know coaches have yelled at players for a long time. Coaches have their own system of yelling at players. There's a different way to handle things. I get it. What do you make of the way Izzo does it?
So I kind of liken it to this, and I don't have kids, but are you going to tell somebody else how to parent their kid? Like, these kids are going to the school, and they know what they're getting themselves into. They were recruited by Tom Izzo and his staff. They don't just go there blindly. They know what they're getting themselves into. They know what kind of coach they're going to have. And in the same token, Tom Izzo knows his guys. He knows which guys he can press on and bark at, and then there's probably some other guys that you have to go in and talk to them and approach them in a little bit different manner. There's a balance to it, and I think for some of these people to be up in arms at the way that he was barking at his guy, I think it's just kind of out of school a little bit. I mean, you don't know what's going on in the locker room, and you don't know what makes his kid tick, and maybe it takes him. You don't even know what he was saying. He could have been saying, obviously it looked like he was being pretty demonstrative in his grill and everything. But, I think it's a little out of line for some people to be up in arms about it when they don't necessarily know what the gist of the altercation was. So, until after the game, of course. So I'm on Team Izzo on this point, obviously. As a coach, I've been in this situation too where you get coming after a guy to either try to motivate him or correct him, and you want to see kind of a response, what kind of response you get from it. And it looked like, for the most part, too, once this was going on, you had some of the team captains step in front and take charge and let them relay the message to him as well, and make sure that, cooler heads prevail. But I don't have a problem with it, and I think that some people look at it as a kind of an old school approach, and that it's not the time to do it, and kids are more sensitive and all that. But again, some kids are different than others and respond differently to different coaching tactics.
Danny, final one for you here. I just did a podcast before I called you on Giannis Antetokounmpo. This guy is absolutely unbelievable. He's the longest player we've probably ever seen. He's developed his game. It used to be, well, he can't pivot, he can't turn around, he can't box people, and he can't shoot. He can do everything now. I mean, he is unbelievable. And then last night against the Bucks, he was out of control. I got this guy as the MVP of the league. I know a lot of people are in love and they're slurping Harden. I got Antetokounmpo. He's much more of a complete player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you're looking, he's got the best nickname ever, Greek Freak. And that's exactly what he is. I mean, a guy that's, 7 foot, 7'1".
Unreal.
Like a 7'8" wingspan. Just he brings the ball up and dribbles, and he shoots threes, and he's rebounding, and he's doing everything that you ask of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy, and people are going to debate. And I have a little bit of a dark horse MVP now.
Oh.
It's I feel like he's underrated, and he's averaged a triple-double over the last 3 years or close to it. And I think Russell Westbrook,
wow.
He doesn't get talked about enough because his team success isn't where Harden's is,
mm-hmm.
or where the Bucks are right now. And I think Giannis will get the kind of edge there because of them having the best record in the NBA, and he absolutely deserves to be, at the top. But, the Thunder are right now in the 7th spot in the West, and it really is because of the efforts of Russell Westbrook. And, he has Paul George there as kind of the second fiddle, but, I mean, this guy is getting 20 on a night, and he's averaged a triple-double. Like, growing up until the last couple of years, like, that was unheard of, and now he's doing it kind of like on the regular, and it's kind of insane. So I think that kind of goes unnoticed because the team wins aren't there. Mm-hmm. But the guy is just an absolute freak. He's got 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 10.5 assists on the season. I mean, it's insane. And if he was on a team that had maybe 10 or so more wins, he would be right there in the MVP conversation. So I like Giannis, and I think Harden's been playing his life away this year, and in some instances he's had to keep his team above water. But I like Russell Westbrook as a player. I always have, and kind of like the anger that he plays with.
That's interesting. Danny Frisina, head men's basketball coach of the Bryant and Stratton College Bobcats in Central New York. Make sure you go to bryantstratton.edu and check out everything they have to offer. They have over 20 college degrees to choose from. You can change your life at Bryant and Stratton College. For every and in life, bryantstratton.edu. And hey, for the athletic schedules, it's simple. Log on to bscbobcats.com. Bryant and Stratton College is the official college and title sponsor of the ML Sports Platter. Danny, thanks, bud.
Thanks again for having me, Mike.
The ML Sports Platter. You can hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports and on Instagram, Mike L Sports 1979. We are on YouTube, Tumblr, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. Make sure you download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.